She met him in the ugliest moment of her life. Soaked in rain, worn out, broke in spirit, driving home from another failed attempt to save her parents' company. He was just a stranger on the roadside. She offered him warmth, food, a couch, and something he hadn't felt in a long time: being seen. Weeks later, trapped in a deal that demanded her hand in marriage as payment for her family's survival, she panicked and chose him, the one person who'd listen to her without wanting anything back. "My boyfriend," she said. Only after he stepped fully into her world did the truth come out. He wasn't just hers. He was the billionaire behind the very empire crushing her. Now she's forced to ask, if love began in a lie, can it still be real? The rain hammers against the windshield like 1,000 angry fists, and the wipers can barely keep up. Thunder cracks overhead, shaking the entire car. Visibility is near zero. Every logical bone in her body is screaming to pull over, wait it out, but she's exhausted, bone-deep exhausted, from another 16-hour day trying to save a company that's bleeding money faster than she can count. That's when the headlights catch him. A figure, standing completely still on the side of the road. Drenched. No umbrella, no jacket. Just standing there in the downpour like he's given up on the world entirely. Her foot hits the brake instinctively. The car slides slightly on the wet asphalt. Her heart pounds. This is how horror movies start. This is how people end up on the evening news. Strange man. Empty road. Storm. But there's something about the way he's standing there. Not threatening, not aggressive. Just utterly, completely defeated. She rolls down the window halfway, rain immediately spraying in. "Are you okay?" she shouts over the storm. He looks up. His face is pale, lips almost blue from the cold. He doesn't answer immediately, like he's forgotten how human interaction works. "Do you need help?" She tries again. His voice is hoarse, quiet. "I have nowhere to go." Every self-preservation instinct she has is firing warning signals. But there's something in his eyes. Vulnerability, not violence. Desperation, not danger. She thinks about her own desperation. How it feels when the world is crushing you and no one seems to care. "Get in," she hears herself say, "before you drown out there." He hesitates, actually hesitates, like he's the one who should be afraid. Then he opens the passenger door and climbs in, bringing the smell of rain and something else. Expensive cologne, faded but still there, clinging to what looks like designer clothes now soaked beyond recognition. They drive in silence for 10 minutes. The only sounds are the rain, the wipers, and his shivering. She cranks up the heat, glances at him from the corner of her eye. Mid-20s, maybe. Clean cut beneath the mess. Hands that don't look like they've done hard labor. But his eyes, there's something ancient in them, like he's lived 1,000 lives in a very short time. "What's your name?" she finally asks. "Does it matter?" He responds, not rudely, just genuinely questioning. "I suppose not," she admits. "I'm just trying to figure out if I've made a terrible decision or a decent one." A ghost of a smile. "I'll let you know in the morning." Her apartment is modest. Nothing like the penthouse she grew up in before her family's company started its slow death spiral. One bedroom, a couch that's seen better days, walls that need repainting. She hands him a towel and her brother's old clothes that have been sitting in her closet since he moved abroad. "Shower's through there," she points. "I'll make something warm to drink." While he's in the bathroom, she stands in her kitchen, hands trembling slightly as she heats water for tea. What is she doing? She doesn't know this man. He could be anyone, dangerous, unstable, but somehow she doesn't think so. Call it intuition, call it stupidity, call it whatever you want. He emerges looking almost human again, hair damp, wearing clothes that are slightly too small. He's taller than she realized, broader. There's a presence about him that wasn't visible under all that rain. "Thank you," he says simply. "You didn't have to do this." No one should be out in that storm, she replies, handing him tea. They sit on opposite ends of her couch. The silence should be awkward, but it isn't. It's strangely comfortable. Can I ask what you're running from? She ventures. Not running, he corrects. Running toward. There's a difference. That sounds like something people say when they don't want to explain. Another ghost smile. Maybe. What about you? You look like someone carrying the weight of the world. She laughs bitterly. Is it that obvious? It takes one to know one. So she tells him. Not everything, but enough. About her parents' marketing company that used to be prestigious, now drowning in debt. About the vulture businessman who's been circling, offering a merger that's really a hostile takeover. About his son, arrogant and entitled, who looks at her like she's a prize to be won. About the impossible choice being forced on her, marry into money to save her family's legacy, or watch everything her parents built crumble to dust. Some choices aren't really choices, she says quietly. He listens with an intensity that's unsettling, like he's memorizing every word, every detail. His eyes never leave her face. What would you do? He finally asks. If you could choose anything? I'd choose freedom, she says, without hesitation. I'd choose to save my family without selling myself, but life doesn't work that way, does it? Sometimes it does, he says cryptically, when you least expect it. She studies him. You talk like someone who's seen both sides of the coin. Maybe I have. He sets down his tea. Can I tell you something? You're the first person in 3 days who's looked at me like I'm human. Not a problem, not a threat, not invisible. Just human. Her throat tightens. Everyone deserves that. You'd be surprised how many people don't believe that. They talk for another hour. About life, about choices, about the masks people wear and the prisons they build for themselves. He's educated. That much is clear. Articulate, thoughtful. But there's a carefulness to his words, like he's editing himself constantly. When she shows him where he can sleep on the couch, she notices his watch for the first time. Even in the dim light, she can tell it's expensive. Easily 5 figures. He catches her looking and quickly slides his sleeve down. Family heirloom, he says too quickly. She doesn't push. Everyone has secrets. Thank you, he says again, for seeing me. Thank you for being someone worth seeing, she replies. She lies in bed that night, unable to sleep. Rain still hammering outside, thunder rolling. She keeps thinking about the stranger on her couch, about the contradictions, the expensive watch, the defeated posture, the eloquent speech, the desperate circumstances, the way he looked at her when she talked about her problems, like he was calculating something. Morning comes gray and wet. She emerges from her bedroom to find the couch empty, blanket neatly folded. No sign of him. Just a note on her coffee table in surprisingly elegant handwriting. Thank you for seeing me as human. Some debts can't be repaid with words. E. She stares at that single letter. E. Not even a full name. Just a mystery wrapped in gratitude, now vanished into the city. 2 weeks pass. She forgets about him, or tries to. Life has a way of overwhelming memory with immediate crisis. The vulture businessman makes his move, pulling clients, spreading rumors, tightening the noose. Her parents are panicking. The arrogant son shows up at her office with flowers and ultimatums. The walls are closing in. She's at her desk, head in her hands, when her assistant buzzes. Your lunch delivery is here. I didn't order lunch, she says. Someone did. Should I send them away? No, whatever. Send them in. The door opens. She doesn't look up immediately. Too buried in financial reports that all say the same thing. They're finished. Delivery for, the voice says, and something about it makes her freeze. She looks up. He's standing there in a bright delivery uniform, thermal bag in hand, looking just as shocked to see her as she is to see him. The stranger from the storm, E. But now he's a delivery boy, hair tucked under a cap, face slightly weathered from days in the sun and rain. Their eyes lock. Recognition flashes. Something else too. something she doesn't want to name. "You," she breathes. "You," he echoes. The moment shatters as voices erupt from the hallway. Angry voices. Her parents' voices. She stands, moving toward the door just as it bursts open. Her mother and father rush in, faces flushed with anger and fear. Behind them, two men in expensive suits stride in like they own the place. The older one, silver hair, cold eyes, the kind of smile that's really a threat, is the vulture himself. The younger one, all arrogance and entitlement, is his son. "Maya," her father says, voice cracking. "We need to talk, now." The son's eyes sweep the office, landing on the delivery boy still holding the thermal bag. A sneer crosses his face. "Can we have some privacy, or do we need to wait for the help to leave?" Every muscle in her body tenses, but before she can defend the stranger who once sat on her couch, her mother speaks, voice trembling. "The Grants have made their final offer, sweetheart. We need your answer today." The older man, Victor Grant, steps forward. "Let me make this simple. Marry my son Derek, merge our companies, and your family keeps their dignity. Your employees keep their jobs. Refuse." He pauses for effect. "And I personally guarantee that by Friday, your family will have nothing. No company, no reputation, nothing." Derek grins. "It's really not a hard choice, Maya. You get financial security, social status, and let's be honest." He looks her up and down in a way that makes her skin crawl. "You could do a lot worse." Her heart is pounding. The room feels like it's shrinking. From the corner of her eye, she can see the delivery boy still standing there, frozen, watching this nightmare unfold. She starts, but her voice won't work. "We need an answer," Victor presses. "Right now." Something inside her snaps. All the pressure, all the fear, all the weeks of being backed into a corner, it ignites. "No," she says. Derek's smirk falters. "Excuse me? No, I won't marry you. I won't be sold like property to save a company. There has to be another way." Victor's expression turns glacial. "There is no other way. You have until Friday to reconsider, or I will destroy everything your family has built. And trust me, girl, I always keep my promises." "I can't marry him," Maya says again, louder now, desperation bleeding into her voice. "I can't because why?" Derek challenges. The words are out before she can stop them. "Because I already have a boyfriend." Silence crashes through the office. Her parents stare at her in shock. Derek's face flushes red. Victor's eyes narrow dangerously. "Really?" Victor says slowly. "And who might this boyfriend be?" Maya's mind is racing, panic flooding every thought. She needs proof. She needs someone. Her eyes dart around the room desperately and land on the only other person there, the delivery boy, still holding the thermal bag, eyes wide. "Him," she says. Every head turns. The delivery boy stands there, frozen in the doorway, thermal bag still in his hands, looking utterly blindsided. Derek stares. Then he starts laughing. "Him? The delivery boy? You can't be serious." But would she really risk everything on a lie this big if it wasn't true? And more importantly, will the stranger from the storm, the man she showed kindness to in his darkest moment, do the same for her now? Or will he walk away and let her face this alone? The question hangs in the air like the storm that brought them together. What would you do? Honor a debt to a stranger who saved you once, or protect yourself and walk away from chaos that isn't yours to fight? Here's what nobody tells you about lies. The really big ones don't destroy you immediately. They seduce you first. They wrap around you like silk, comfortable and warm, until you realize too late that silk can also strangle. The delivery boy doesn't run. That's the first shock. With every eye in that office boring into him, with the weight of her desperate claim hanging in the air like a guillotine blade, he doesn't bolt for the door. Instead, something shifts in his posture. Something hardens. He sets down the thermal bag with deliberate calm and walks forward until he's standing right beside her. "Yes," he says, voice steady as stone. "We're together." The room erupts. Derek's laughter turns sharp and vicious. "You cannot be serious right now. A delivery boy? What do you make, $20 an hour? You think you can compete with me?" He steps closer, invading space, asserting dominance the way rich men do when they've never been told no. "I could buy and sell you 1,000 times over before breakfast." But the delivery boy doesn't flinch, doesn't step back, just meets Derek's eyes with an unnerving calm. "I think she can make her own choices. That's the difference between us." Victor Grant's face has gone from shocked to coldly calculating. He's not laughing. He's studying the delivery boy like a chess player who's just noticed an unexpected move. "What's your name, son? Does it matter? Humor me." A pause. Then, "Ethan." "Well, Ethan," Victor says the name like it's an insult. "Let me explain something about the real world. Love is a beautiful fantasy. But bills are real. Mortgages are real. Bankruptcy is real. And when this little act falls apart, and it will, Maya will learn a very expensive lesson about choosing poetry over pragmatism." Her father steps forward, face pale. "Maya, sweetheart, can we please talk privately?" But Victor raises a hand. "No need. I'm a reasonable man. I'll give you 1 week, 7 days to play house with your delivery boy. Enjoy your little rebellion. But on Friday, I'm calling in every favor, pulling every string, and making sure that your company, your family name, and everything you've ever worked for turns to ash." He straightens his cuffs. "Derek, we're leaving. We don't negotiate with children playing pretend." Derek leans in as he passes, voice low enough that only Ethan and Maya hear. "You just signed her death warrant, delivery boy. I hope whatever she's paying you is worth it." Then they're gone. The office door slams. Silence crashes down like the aftermath of an explosion. Her parents stare at her, at Ethan, at this impossible situation their daughter has created. Her mother's voice trembles. "Maya, what have you done?" But Maya can't answer because she's staring at Ethan, at this stranger who just walked into a war that isn't his to fight. "Why?" she whispers. He looks at her with those eyes that have seen too much. "You helped me first, in the storm." It's not an answer. It's not enough of an answer. But somehow, in this moment, it's everything. Her father clears his throat. "Well, I suppose we should all sit down and figure out what happens next." What happens next is a negotiation that feels more like a funeral. They sit in her office, her parents on one side, Maya and Ethan on the other, like opposing legal teams. Her father outlines the reality with brutal efficiency. The company has 3 major clients left. Victor Grant has already contacted 2 of them. By Monday, they'll be gone. The bank is calling in loans. Suppliers are demanding payment up front. The walls aren't just closing in, they're already touching. "We have about 72 hours before this becomes irreversible," her father says. "Unless Derek changes his mind. Unless you change yours." Ethan speaks up. "What if there was another way? Other investors? Other options?" Her mother laughs bitterly. "We've tried everything. No one wants to invest in a sinking ship when Victor Grant has declared war. His reach is—" She trails off, helpless. "Everywhere," her father finishes. "The man owns half the city's business infrastructure. Cross him, and you're finished." After her parents leave, Maya and Ethan sit in the dimming office as evening creeps in. The city lights flicker on outside the windows, indifferent to their crisis. "You can still walk away," she says quietly. "This isn't your fight." "Can I ask you something?" he responds. "That night in the storm, why did you stop?" "Really?" She thinks about it. "Because no one should be invisible. Everyone deserves to be seen." "Then you already know why I'm not walking away. They create rules, boundaries, a framework for this fiction they're going to sell. They'll be seen together in public. Coffee dates, dinners, the performative romance that social media demands. They'll meet her parents for family dinners, endure the scrutiny, maintain the illusion. but it stays professional. No real feelings, no complications, just two people helping each other survive. Except life has a way of ignoring rules. The next morning, Ethan shows up at her apartment at dawn, still in his delivery uniform. He's been working the night shift. There are dark circles under his eyes, and his hands are scraped raw from handling packages in the cold. "You don't have to keep doing that job," she says, handing him coffee. "I mean, if we're supposedly together." "I need to keep working," he insists. "It's important." "Why?" "Because the moment I stop, people will ask questions, and because—" He hesitates. "I need to understand what real life feels like. Not the fantasy version, the actual version where you work until your hands bleed and people treat you like you're invisible." She studies him. "You talk like someone who hasn't always lived this way." "Maybe I haven't." "So who are you really?" He sets down the coffee. "Right now, I'm the delivery boy dating the CEO's daughter." That's all that matters. But she's starting to suspect there's so much more beneath the surface. The way he moves, the way he analyzes business strategies when they talk, the way he understood her company's financial structure after one conversation. There's an intelligence there that doesn't match the uniform. The mockery starts within hours. Someone at her office saw them together, posted it online. By noon, it's viral in their business circles. The struggling CEO's daughter and her delivery boy boyfriend. The comments are vicious. Gold digger, desperate, slumming it. The jokes write themselves. Derek fans the flames personally, quote-tweeting the photo with "When you're so broke, even the delivery boy looks like a catch." But the real attack comes from Victor. He doesn't use social media. He uses power. By Wednesday, they've lost their last major client. The official reason is budget restructuring. The real reason is a phone call from Victor Grant suggesting that association with his firm might be complicated if they continue working with Maya's company. Her father calls her, voice breaking. "We're going to have to lay off 15 people by Friday. 15 families. I've worked with some of these people for 20 years. She sits in her car after that call and cries, just cries, until her phone buzzes, a text from Ethan. "Where are you?" she tells him. 20 minutes later, he pulls up on his delivery bike, still wearing the uniform, climbs into her passenger seat without a word, and just sits with her. Doesn't offer empty platitudes, doesn't try to fix it. Just sits there, present, human, real. "I'm destroying people's lives," she whispers, "because I was too proud to say yes." "You were too brave to say yes," he corrects. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Because from where I'm sitting, bravery looks a lot like selfishness." He turns to face her fully. "That night in the storm, I was at my absolute lowest point. I'd been on the streets for 3 days. Do you know how many people passed me? Hundreds, thousands. And do you know how many stopped? One. You. So don't you dare tell me you're selfish. You're the least selfish person I've met." Something shifts between them in that moment. Something neither of them is ready to name. The next evening, they have dinner with her parents. It's awkward and painful and strange. Her mother sets extra forks at each place setting, the kind of passive-aggressive class signaling that makes Maya want to scream. But Ethan navigates it with surprising grace, asking about her parents' business, their history, treating them with genuine respect that slowly, gradually, melts her mother's icy demeanor. "How did you two actually meet?" her father asks carefully. Maya and Ethan exchange glances. They'd prepared for this, but the rehearsed answer dies in her throat, and the truth comes out instead. "He was stranded in a rainstorm. I picked him up." Her mother's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. "You picked up a stranger? Maya, that's incredibly dangerous." "I know, but sometimes the dangerous choice is the right one." Her father looks at Ethan with new assessment. "And you? What made you get in the car with a stranger?" Ethan meets his gaze. "She looked at me like I was human. Not many people do that anymore." After dinner, her father pulls Ethan aside while Maya helps her mother with dishes. Through the doorway, she watches them talking on the balcony. Her father's face is serious. Ethan's posture is respectful but not submissive. They talk for 20 minutes. When they come back inside, her father's expression is troubled but softer somehow. "He really cares about you," he says quietly to Maya later. "I didn't expect that." "Neither did I," she admits. By Thursday, the pressure reaches a breaking point. Victor has escalated beyond business. He's contacted the building owner where Maya's company rents space. Suddenly, there are lease violations that never existed before. Safety concerns, zoning issues. They have 30 days to vacate. Her parents call an emergency meeting. Just the three of them this time, in their family home where Maya grew up. The same dining room where she celebrated birthdays and graduations. Now it feels like a courtroom. Her father's face is haggard. He's aged 10 years in 1 week. "Baby, I need you to really hear what I'm about to say. I love you more than anything in this world, but we're out of options. The company is finished. We're going to lose the house. Your mother's medical insurance ends next month. We have nothing left to leverage." Her mother reaches across the table, taking Maya's hand. "We're not asking you to marry Derek anymore. That ship has sailed. But we are asking you to let Ethan go. Let this whole thing go. Maybe if we approach Victor with humility, if we admit defeat, he'll show mercy." "Mercy," Maya repeats numbly. "At least we'd keep our dignity," her mother says. "At least we wouldn't drag that poor boy down with us." That night, Maya can't sleep. She stands on her balcony at 3 in the morning, watching the city that's slowly crushing her family. Her phone buzzes. Ethan. Can't sleep either. His text reads, "Meet me," she types back. They meet at an all-night diner, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. Ethan arrives on his delivery bike, helmet hair and tired eyes. Maya in sweatpants and one of her father's old jackets. They look like what they are. 2 people drowning slowly. "My parents want me to let you go," she says, over burnt coffee. "What do you want?" "I don't know anymore. I thought I was being brave, thought I was standing up for something, but all I'm doing is watching people I love suffer." Ethan reaches across the table, taking her hand. It's the first time they've touched beyond the performative gestures for public cameras. His skin is rough from work, warm, real. "Can I tell you something I've learned? The people with the most power aren't always the ones with the most money. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to play their game. That's easy to say when you're not watching your father break down in tears. You're right, I'm sorry." They sit in silence for a long time. Outside, the city continues its indifferent rotation. Delivery trucks rumble past. Street cleaners sweep. Life goes on, crushing or saving people at random. "There's something I need to tell you," Ethan says finally. "About who I really am, about why I came to this city with nothing." Her heart pounds. "Okay." But before he can continue, her phone explodes with notifications, all at once. Dozens of them. Her parents, her assistant, news alerts. Her hands shake as she opens the first message. Derek Grant has called a press conference, first thing Friday morning. He's announcing the acquisition of her family's company. Whether they agree or not, he's found a legal loophole, some debt clause her father signed years ago in desperation. The company isn't just failing, it's already been sold. To Derek, to Victor, to the people who've been hunting them. "It's over," Maya whispers. "It's already over." But Ethan's face has gone very still, very calm. The kind of calm that comes before storms, not after them. "No," he says quietly. "It's not over. Trust me for one more day. Please, just one more day." "Why? What can possibly change in one day?" He stands, throwing cash on the table for coffee they barely touched. "Because tomorrow morning, Derek wants to play king, and I'm going to show him what happens when you threaten the wrong person." There's something in his voice, something hard and sharp and absolutely certain. For the first time since this nightmare began, Maya feels a flicker of something dangerous. Hope. Friday morning arrives like an execution date. The press conference is scheduled for 10 a.m. at the Grant Industries headquarters, a gleaming tower of steel and glass that dominates the skyline. Maya's parents are there. Derek, Victor, cameras, reporters, an audience for the public humiliation. Maya stands in the crowd with Ethan beside her, both of them drowning in dread. Derek takes the podium, smug smile plastered across his face. He's won, and he knows it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Today marks an exciting merger between Grant Industries and Silva Marketing. We're bringing a struggling legacy company into the 21st century, securing jobs, ensuring stability. It's all corporate speak for conquest, for domination, for checkmate. Maya feels Ethan's hand squeeze hers once. Then he lets go. "Excuse me," he says loudly. "I have something to say." Every head turns. Security moves forward, but Derek raises a hand, grinning. Let him speak. This should be entertaining. The delivery boy wants to make a statement. Ethan walks forward. Not nervous, not hesitant, moving with a confidence that seems to materialize out of nowhere. He reaches the podium area, and Derek steps aside mockingly, offering the microphone like it's a joke. But Ethan doesn't take it. Instead, he pulls out his phone, makes a single call, says 3 words, "We're ready, come in." The main doors to the conference room open, and the world tilts on its axis. A security team enters. Not building security, private military-grade security in crisp suits with earpieces. Behind them, lawyers. Behind them, men and women in executive attire carrying briefcases and tablets. They move with precision, forming a perimeter. Derek's smirk falters. "What the hell is this?" One of the lawyers steps forward, handing Derek a tablet. "Mr. Grant, you're going to want to read this." As Derek scrolls, his face drains of all color. Victor pushes forward, grabbing the tablet. His reaction is even more dramatic. Actual fear flashing across features that have probably never known it. "This isn't possible," Victor breathes. Ethan's voice, when he speaks, has changed. The humility is gone, the deference is gone. What remains is pure authority. Actually, it's not only possible, it's been true for the last 6 years. I am Ethan Cross, majority shareholder of Grant Industries. I own 63% of this company, your company. I've been a silent partner since I inherited my family's fortune at 21, and for the last 6 months, I've been watching how you run my empire. The room explodes. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions, but Maya can't hear any of it, can't process any of it, because the delivery boy, her delivery boy, is standing there transformed, and every word he's saying is rewriting reality. Derek staggers. "You're lying. This is some kind of scam." One of the lawyers interrupts. "The documents are authenticated and notarized. Mr. Cross is exactly who he claims to be, and as majority owner, he has the authority to restructure leadership effective immediately." Victor finds his voice, desperate now. "Ethan, if that's really you, then you know I've grown this company." "By destroying others." Ethan cuts him off. "I've reviewed everything. The intimidation tactics, the illegal market manipulation, the way you've used my resources to bully and crush smaller businesses, including this one." He gestures to Maya's parents, still standing frozen in the crowd. "You used my money, my power, my name to hurt good people. That ends today." He turns to Derek, and his voice drops to something cold and final. "You're fired, both of you. Security will escort you out. Your severance packages will reflect your actual contributions, which is to say, they'll be minimal." Derek lunges forward. "You can't do this. My father built—" "Your father managed," Ethan corrects. "I own. There's a difference. And management that operates through fear and cruelty is management I won't tolerate." Security moves in. Derek is shouting, threatening lawsuits, promising revenge. Victor is trying to negotiate, making promises, offering deals. But they're already being led away. Power stripped in seconds, just as they'd done to so many others. The room slowly quiets. Every eye turns to Ethan, to the delivery boy who was never a delivery boy at all. He looks directly at Maya, at her shocked face, her trembling hands, her complete disbelief. and something in his expression cracks. The authority falters. The vulnerability returns. "I need to explain," he says, not to the room, but to her. Only to her. "But would you want to hear an explanation from someone who's lied to you for weeks? Someone who watched you suffer, watched your family crumble and said nothing? Someone who had the power to end your nightmare the entire time but chose to play a role instead?" That's the question hanging in the air as Ethan Cross, billionaire, owner, the man with all the power in the world, stands there looking more helpless than he ever did in the rain. Can you forgive someone who had the power to end your suffering but chose to watch you drown instead? That's the question written across her face as the conference room empties, as reporters rush out to file stories about the shocking reveal, as her parents stand frozen trying to process that the delivery boy who sat at their dinner table is actually the invisible hand that's been controlling their fate all along. The room clears until it's just the two of them, Maya and Ethan, or whoever he really is. The silence between them feels like the moment before thunder, heavy, charged, inevitable. She finds her voice first. "How long have you known? About Derek? About Victor? About what they were doing to my family?" "Since the second week," he admits. "I have people who briefed me on company operations. When your name came up in connection to the Grant merger attempt, I started paying attention. The second week." She repeats it like she's testing the weight of the betrayal. "You've known for over a month. You watched my father cry. You watched us lose everything. You sat in my apartment and let me pour my heart out about having no options. And you said nothing. I know how it looks. How it looks." Her voice rises, cracking. "You're a billionaire, Ethan. You own the company that was destroying us. You could have ended this with a phone call, one phone call. But instead, you played delivery boy. You played boyfriend. You played some kind of twisted social experiment while real people suffered real consequences." He steps toward her, hands raised like he's approaching something fragile. "You're right. You're absolutely right. But please let me explain why." "Why what? Why you lied? Why you manipulated? Why you turned my crisis into your personal journey of self-discovery?" Tears are streaming down her face now, angry tears, betrayed tears. "Did you enjoy it? Watching me squirm? Watching me make impossible choices?" "No." The word comes out sharp, pained. "Maya, please. That night in the storm, I was at my lowest point. Not financially, emotionally, spiritually. I'd spent my entire life insulated by money, never struggled, never been vulnerable, never understood what it meant to be powerless. So I left everything, walked away from my life to understand what real existence felt like. And I was what? A case study? A convenient plot point in your little Bildungsroman. You were the first person in 3 days who looked at me like I was human." His voice breaks. "Do you understand what that meant? I'd been invisible, ignored, treated like I didn't exist. But you stopped. You brought me into your home. You fed me. You treated me with dignity when you thought I had nothing to offer you." She wipes her eyes roughly. "So this was gratitude. This was you repaying kindness by letting me suffer?" "It was me trying to be worthy of that kindness," he says desperately. "When I heard what you were going through, I wanted to fix it, immediately. Just write a check, make a call. But that would have been the old me. The man who solved everything with money but understood nothing about people. I needed to be someone you could respect. Someone who earned the right to stand beside you, not someone who bought his way into your life." "That wasn't your choice to make?" she says quietly. And somehow the softness is worse than the anger. You don't get to decide how much someone should suffer before you help them. You don't get to withhold power as some kind of character-building exercise. He closes his eyes. "You're right. I'm sorry. I thought I was being noble. But I was being selfish. I wanted you to care about me, the real me, before you knew about the money. But in trying to be authentic, I was being the most manipulative version of myself." The honesty of it hits her like a wave. She sits down heavily in one of the conference room chairs, suddenly exhausted. "So what now? You've saved my family, fired the villains, revealed your secret identity. What happens next in this fairy tale? He sits across from her, maintaining distance, respecting her space. That depends on what you want. What I want, she laughs bitterly. I wanted honesty. I wanted partnership. I wanted someone who saw me as an equal, not a charity project. You were never a charity project. You saved me first, remember? In that storm. I was lost, literally and figuratively. And you showed me what real kindness looked like, what real strength looked like. You refused to compromise yourself even when it would have been easier. You chose integrity over security. You chose love over safety. He leans forward. Do you know how rare that is? How many people I've met who talk about principles but abandon them the moment things get hard? So I was an inspiration, she says flatly. How wonderful. You were everything, he says simply. You are everything, and yes, I handled this wrong. I should have told you sooner. I should have been honest about who I was. But I need you to understand, every conversation we had, every moment we spent together, that was real. The only real thing in my entire life. I didn't fall in love with you because you were vulnerable. I fell in love with you because you were strong enough to be kind when the world was crushing you. The words hang in the air. It's the first time either of them has said it out loud. Love. The thing they've been dancing around for weeks. Your family's company is secure, he continues. I've dissolved all debts. Your clients are being returned. I'm offering a genuine partnership between your firm and Cross Industries. Not a takeover, a collaboration. Your parents keep full autonomy. You keep your integrity. This isn't charity, it's business. Your marketing expertise is exactly what my restructured company needs. And us? She asks quietly. That's entirely up to you. If you want me to walk away, I will. If you need time to process this, I'll wait. If you can never forgive me for the deception, I'll understand. But I hope. His voice catches. I really hope that maybe, eventually, you'll believe that the man who sat on your couch soaking wet was the truest version of me I've ever been. Everything else was the costume. That night, in the storm, with you, that was real. She looks at him for a long moment. Really looks at him. The expensive suit doesn't hide the calluses on his hands from weeks of delivery work. The corporate authority doesn't erase the vulnerability in his eyes. He's both men somehow. The billionaire and the stranger. The powerful owner and the lost soul in the rain. You hurt me, she says finally. You made choices that weren't yours to make. I know. And if we try this, really try this, you don't get to do that again. No more secrets. No more withholding truth for my own good. I'm not a character in your redemption story. I'm a person who deserves honesty. I know, he repeats. Then, barely breathing, are we trying this? She stands, walks to the window overlooking the city that's been both their battlefield and their meeting place. You said you came here to understand what real life feels like. Did you learn what you wanted to learn? He joins her at the window, careful not to touch, waiting for permission. I learned that real life isn't about money or power or control. It's about connection. It's about the person who stops in a storm. It's about choosing kindness when kindness costs you something. I learned that the poorest I've ever been was when I had everything, and the richest I've ever been was carrying a delivery bag to your office and seeing you smile. She turns to him. That's a pretty speech. It's a true speech. Prove it, she challenges. Not with money, not with grand gestures. Prove you meant what you said about partnership, about equality, about seeing me as more than someone to rescue. How? Keep working, she says. Not delivery. I know that was temporary. But whatever your actual role is in Cross Industries, do it alongside me. We rebuild both companies together, equal partners. You bring your resources, I bring my expertise. No hero and damsel. Just two people who understand what it means to be caught in storms. A smile breaks across his face, genuine and relieved, and full of something that looks a lot like hope. Deal. She extends her hand for a handshake. He takes it, but instead of shaking, He pulls her closer, slow enough that she can stop him if she wants. She doesn't stop him, and when their lips meet, it feels like the end of one storm and the beginning of something else entirely. 6 months later, Silva Cross Marketing is the fastest growing firm in the city. Maya's team has tripled. Ethan's restructured empire focuses on ethical business practices, fair wages, supporting small companies instead of crushing them. They're featured in business magazines, not as a billionaire and his lucky girlfriend, but as equal partners revolutionizing how corporations operate. But the moment that matters most happens on a rainy Thursday evening. They're driving home together, and Ethan spots a figure by the roadside, soaking wet, alone, lost. "Pull over," he says. Maya does. They both get out, offer shelter, offer help. And as the stranger climbs into their car, grateful and shocked, Maya squeezes Ethan's hand, because they both understand now that destiny isn't about wealth or status or power. It's about who you choose to be when you see someone drowning in a storm. It's about stopping. So here's my question for you, because this story matters beyond these characters, beyond this screen. When was the last time you stopped? When did you last offer kindness to someone who couldn't repay you? When did you see someone invisible and choose to make them visible? Drop your answer in the comments below. Tell me about a time you were either the person in the storm or the person who stopped to help. And if this story moved you, if it made you think about the stranger you passed today, hit that like button and share this video. Because the truth is, we're all both people. We're all sometimes the delivery boy with secrets and sometimes the exhausted driver deciding whether to stop. The question is, what choice will you make next time? I'll be reading every comment. Your story matters. Share it below. And if you want more stories about the unexpected connections that change everything, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because next week, we've got a story about a janitor at a tech company who turns out to be, well, you'll have to wait and see. But I promise you won't believe where it goes. Until then, remember, sometimes the poorest-looking stranger is carrying the biggest destiny in your life. The question is, will you be brave enough to find out?